Hello there, welcome back to Max's Cards and Dice Dugout. This is episode 176, and we return to Motown Tiger Stadium for game number 62 of the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill Tournament. The current Kings, the 1961 Detroit Tigers, will host the 1954 Cleveland Indians. Before we get to the starting lineups, let's take a look at the status of the Hill. Tigers at 7-6 are atop. And the Indians, one win away from reaching the Goodell Cup Finals with a 9-5 record. And we got the 60 Pittsburgh Pirates on deck and the 57 Milwaukee Braves in the hole. All right, so starting lineups for game number 62. First for the visiting Cleveland Indians, leading off left fielder Al Smith, batting second baseman Bobby Avila. Batting third, center fielder Larry Doby. Batting fourth at third base is Al Rosen. Batting fifth, first baseman Vic Wertz. Batting sixth, right fielder Dave Philly. Batting seventh, shortstop George Strickland. Batting eighth, behind the plate Jim Hegan. And on the mound for Cleveland, and batting ninth, is Bob Feller. In 1954, he was 13-3 with a 3.09 ERA. Pitched 140 innings. So he gets the start for the Indians. He's a number 2 hitting pitcher, so he gets that card inserted into the lineup. Now for the current Kings, the 1961 Detroit Tigers. Leading off, second baseman Jake Wood. Batting second in center field, Bill Bruton. Batting third in right field, Al Kaline. Batting fourth, left fielder Rocky Colavito. Batting fifth, first baseman Norm Cash. Sixth is Steve Boros. He's at third base. Batting seventh, catcher Dick Brown. Batting eighth, shortstop Chico Fernandez. And on the hill, batting ninth, is Don Mossi. 1961, he was 15-7 with a 2.96 ERA, 240 innings pitched. He is a number 2 hitting pitcher, so he gets that card inserted into the lineup. And we are ready to get underway. So leading off for Cleveland, left fielder Al Smith. Pitch from Mossi. Man, that's a strikeout to start things off. And there's one away here in the top of the first. Next up, second baseman Bobby Avila. Pitch. And that's a 1-out single for Avila going right up the middle. Makes his turn, but he's going to stay there at first. So man on first, 1 out for Larry Doby. Pitch from Mossi. And this one goes into left field for a base hit. Avila around second. And he gets the stop sign at third. So 2 hits in a row for the Indians have runners on the corners with 1 out. And Al Rosen coming up to bat. Infield is at normal depth. Here's the pitch. And it's lined, but right at third baseman Steve Boros for the second out. He tries to get back to the bag to get Avila, but Avila's back in time. So now there's runners on the corners with 2 outs. And first baseman Vic Wertz. Pitch from Mossi. And Wertz gets a hold of this one, and it's going into deep left field. Sends Colavito back. It's way up, out of here, gone. A 2-out, 3-run blast from Vic Wertz, and the Indians are up 3-0 here in the top of the first. My goodness. And Don Mossi picks up 3 fatigue points. Not the start he was looking for. So Wertz clears the bases. They're empty now with 2 outs for Dave Philly. Here's the pitch. And this one's going to stay in the infield. Norm Cash is under that over at first base. And he makes the catch for the 3rd out. But the Indians pick up 3 on Vic Wertz' 2-out blast. And with 1/2 inning in the books, it's the Indians 3 and the Tigers nothing. 4th fatigue point for Mossi. All right, Cleveland hurler Bob Feller's on the mound. First batter will be Jake Wood, Detroit second baseman. Here's the pitch from Feller. That's a fly ball to left field. And Smith is under that, makes the catch. That's Al Smith, and there's one away. 1 out, nobody on for Bill Bruton. Pitch from Feller. This one's going to stay in the infield. Vic Wertz is under that, near the foul line over there at first base. And he makes the catch, and there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on. And right fielder Al Kaline. This one also is going to stay in the infield. But this time it's George Strickland underneath it. And he's got that. And the Tigers go 1, 2, 3. So after 1 complete inning, it's the Indians 3 and the Tigers nothing. Bob Feller picks up a fatigue point. And we go to the top of the second. Leading off for the Indians will be George Strickland. And there's the pitch from Mossi. And Strickland sends this one into the gap in left center. And that's going to be a leadoff hit for Strickland. In fact, he cruises into second base. So he's in scoring position with nobody out. And that's going to bring up Jim Hegan, Indians catcher. Pitch from Mossi. And that's low and outside for ball 4. And Hegan trots down to first base. So now it's first and second with nobody out. And pitcher Bob Feller comes to the plate. Mossi delivers. Feller squares around the bunt. And it rolls down the first base line, stays in fair territory. Only play for Brown is to go to cash at first base and the runners advance. So a perfect sacrifice bunt by Feller is the first out. So now we got runners on second and third with 1 out, and the infield is in for the Tigers. Back to the top of the order, and left fielder Al Smith. Pitch from Mossi. That's a fly ball to center field. And Larry Doby's got that for the second out, but that allows Strickland to tag up, and he's going to score, and it's now 4-0. So Strickland picks up, or excuse me, Al Smith picks up the RBI in that. Hegan holds at second base. And another fatigue point for Don Mossi. He's at 5. And there is some movement out there in the Detroit bullpen. And it looks like Jerry Staley, or no, excuse me, Phil Regan is warming up. All right, so now man on second with 2 outs. And Bobby Avila. The Indians lead 4-0. Here's the pitch. Line drive right at third baseman Steve Boros. And that retires the side. But the Indians pick up another one. And it's now 4-0 with 1.5 in the books. Mossi picks up fatigue point number 6. So Feller's out here for the bottom of the second with a 4-run cushion. And Rocky Colavito will lead things off. Pitch from Feller. Fly ball to deep right field. And Dave Phillies under that makes the catch. And there's one away. That brings up Norm Cash. Feller delivers. And that's a strikeout. First strikeout for Feller, and there's 2 away here in the bottom of the second. Third baseman Steve Boros is next. It's the pitch. This one stays in the infield. And second baseman Bobby Avila is under that, makes the catch. And once again, the Tigers go 1-2-3. No runs, no hits, no one left on. 2 innings complete. It's the Indians 4, Tigers nothing. Feller picks up fatigue point number 2. Mossi, who's already at 6, is going to face Larry Doby first. Doby's one for one, with a run scored. Here's the pitch from Mossi. That's a fly ball to left field. Colavito's under that, makes the catch, and there's 1 away. 1 out, base is empty for Al Rosen. Rosen's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 2 for Mossi. And there are 2 away here in the top of the third. That brings up Vic Wertz. First baseman. He's 1 for 1. Hit a 3-run homer his first time up back in the first inning. Here's the pitch. This time he hits a ground ball back to Mossi. Mossi trots over towards first base. Tosses to Norm Cash for the 1-3 put out. And the Indians go 1-2-3. So no runs, no hits, no one left on. And after 2.5, it's the Indians 4. And the Tigers nothing. And Mossi will pick up fatigue point number 7. So we go to the bottom of the third. And it's going to be Dick Brown, Chico Fernandez, and the pitcher spot, Don Mossi. He's probably going to back, considering these benches are short with only 20-man rosters. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout for Feller, number 2. Gets Dick Brown looking. And there's 1 away here in the bottom of the third. Chico Fernandez, shortstop. Feller delivers. And the Tigers are going to get their first hit. 1-out single for Fernandez. So he's down there first base with 1 out. And Don Mossi. Mossi swinging away. And he gets a hold of this one, and the wind is carrying it out to deep center field. Larry Doby back to the track, to the wall. It's way up out of here, gone. A 2-run shot from pitcher Don Mossi. And the Tigers got themselves back in this game. It's now 4-2. You just never know. 2 more fatigue points for Feller puts him at 4. And there's still only 1 out. We're back to the top of the order. How about that? Considered pulling him for a pinch hitter. Considered having him lay down a sacrifice bunt. But we swung away and he sent it out of the yard. Here's the next one. And this is going for Jake Wood. It's a ground ball to short. It's going to be an X check for George Strickland. He's a 2. And we roll a 9. And 9 is... Oh, he boots that one. Rolls into shallow left field. And Wood's going to reach on the E6. He's going to reach first base. So that's the first error for Cleveland and first error of the game. So still one out, man on first. Tying run's going to come to the plate in Bill Bruton. Pitch from Feller. This one will stay in the infield. Vic Wertz is under that over at first base. Makes the catch for out number 2. So 2 outs and a man on first. And Al Kaline. Kaline's 0 for 1. Here's the pitch from Feller. Man, that's a strikeout. Cut through that one and got nothing but air. That's the 3rd strikeout for Feller to end this inning. But the Tigers do pick up 2 runs on Don Mossi's home run. And after 3 complete, it's the Indians 4 and the Pirates. What is wrong with me? The Tigers 2, and Feller picks up fatigue point number 5. Mossi, who's at 7, is out here for the top of the 4th. It's going to be Dave Philly, first batter. Mossi delivers. And this one stays in the infield. Jake Woods under that, makes the catch, 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on for shortstop George Strickland. Pitch from Mossi. Hard hit ball, but right at Steve Boros for out number 2. So 2 outs and nobody on, and Jim Hegan, Indians catcher. He walked his first time up. Pitch from Mossi. Hey, and that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 3 for Mossi to end the inning. No runs, no hits, no one left on. And after 3.5, the score remains Cleveland 4 and Detroit 2. And we're going to go to the bottom of the 4th. Don Mossi will pick up fatigue point number 8. All right, so it's Bob Feller. First batter he's going to face is Rocky Colavito. Have to excuse me here. Everything kind of shifted on me. All right, we're still good. So here's the pitch to Colavito. And Colavito hits one out into left field. It's off the wall, and that gets away from Smith. It's rolling towards the infield. Colavito around second and slides into third with a leadoff triple. Oh, man on third, nobody out. Norm Cash. Infield's at normal depth. Pitch from Feller. It's a fly ball to left field. And Al Smith is under it, makes the catch, but it's deep enough for Colavito to score, and it's now a 1-run game. Feller picks up fatigue point number 6. It's now 4-3. So 1 out, nobody on. Third baseman Steve Boros. This one also stays in the infield. And Vic Wertz is under that. Makes the catch for the 2nd out. So 2 outs, nobody on. And catcher Dick Brown. Pitch from Feller. And that's a strikeout. Number 4 for Feller ends the bottom of the 4th. But the Tigers do pick up a run on Norm Cash's sacrifice fly, and after 4 complete, it's the Indians 4 and the Tigers 3. Feller picks up another fatigue point as I drop my pen. That puts him at 7. Mossi, who's at 8, is out here, and he's going to face his counterpart. Here's the pitch to Feller. It's a ground ball back to Mossi. Tosses over to Norm Cash for the first out. So there's one away here in the top of the 5th. And we're back to the top of the order here for Cleveland, and it's Al Smith. There's the pitch. Another pop-up that's going to stay in the infield. Norm Cash is under that one. And there are 2 away. So 2 outs, nobody on for Bobby Avila. The second baseman is 1 for 2. Here's the pitch. That's a 2-out single for Avila. Into right field. Makes the turn, but he holds there at first base. So man on first. 2 outs, and center fielder Larry Doby. Mossi delivers. And that is a hit-saving line drive caught by third baseman Steve Boros. That could have been trouble. But Boros flashes the leather and ends the top of the 5th inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left on after 4.5. It's the Indians 4 and the Tigers 3. Don Mossi picks up fatigue point number 9. And first batter Feller's going to face here in the bottom of the 5th is shortstop Chico Fernandez. Here's the pitch. And that is a line drive, but right at shortstop George Strickland. And there's 1 away. Now, Mossi is at 9 fatigue points, so it's probably time to call it a day for him. Even though he homered his last time up, I can't see that happening again. So we're going to have a pinch hitter. It's going to be Dick McAuliffe. It's going to be pinch hitting for Don Mossi. And Phil Regan is ready. And he'll be the pitcher in the top of the 6th for the Tigers. So Dick McAuliffe. Pinch hit here. All right. Feller delivers. It's a fly ball to center fielder. Larry Doby, it's an X check. He's a 1. We roll a 9. And nice play by Doby out there for the second out. So now we're back to the top of the order. For Detroit, and it's Jake Wood. Pitch from Feller. And he lifts this one straight up. And Hegan's under that in foul territory. Near the Tigers' dugout, makes the catch for the 3rd out. So Detroit goes 1, 2, 3. No runs, no hits, no one left on. 5 complete. It's the Indians 4 and the Tigers 3. Bob Feller picks up fatigue point number 8. And as mentioned, the new pitcher for the Tigers is Phil Regan. 1961, he was 10-7 with a 5.25 ERA, 120 innings pitched. And leading things off for the Indians here in the top of the 6th will be Al Rosen. Pitch from Regan. Almost hits him, and that's ball 4. So he trots down to first base. We got a man on first with nobody out. And I marked that in the wrong place. But we still have a man on first with nobody out. And Vic Wertz, he's already gone deep once in this game. He's 1 for 2. Pitch from Reagan. This time he gets underneath it, and it's going to stay in the infield. And Chico Fernandez is under that for the first out. So man on first with 1 out. And right fielder Dave Philly. Philly is 0 for 2. Here's the pitch. He's 0 for 2 no longer because he hits one right up the middle for a base hit. Rosen's going to hold at second. So you got runners on first and second with 1 out, and shortstop George Strickland. Pitch from Reagan. It's a ground ball to short, and that's going to be Chico Fernandez to Jake Wood to Norm Cash for the 6-4-3 inning and rally ending double play. So no runs on 1 hit. 1 man left on base. 5.5. It's still the Indians 4 and the Tigers 3. Reagan picks up his first fatigue point. And Feller, who's at 8, is out here for the bottom of the 6th. And warming up for the Indians is Mike Garcia. All right, here's Bill Bruton. It's a fly ball to right field. And Dave Philly's under that, makes the catch for the first out. So 1 out, nobody on for Al Kaline. Tigers trail 4-3. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to second base. It's going to be an X check for Avila. He's a 3. We roll a 20, which is probably going to have me roll again. Yes, indeed. 18. Let's try it a third time. Third time's a charm. And Avila makes a nice stop from his knees, fires to first base, and they get Kaline by a half step. And now there's 2 away. It's 2 outs, nobody on. And Rocky Colavito, he could tie this game with 1 swing. Feller delivers. But it's a 2-out single into left field for Colavito. So he's there at first with 2 outs, and Norm Cash tying runs on base. Feller delivers. And that's a strikeout. Strikeout number 5 for Bob Feller ends the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left, and after 6 complete. Score remains Cleveland 4, Detroit 3. Bob Feller gets fatigue point number 9. Bill Reagan is out here, and he's going to face Jim Hegan here in the top of the 7th. Indians lead 4-3. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to short. It's going to be an X check for Chico Fernandez. He's a 3, and we roll a 19, and you know what that probably means. Yes, indeed. Roll again. And a nice play by Chico Fernandez. Over to Norm Cash for the first out. And that's going to bring up the pitcher's spot. But that's going to be it for Bob Feller. Hank Majeski is going to pinch hit for him. And Mike Garcia is getting ready in the bullpen. He'll be ready when his time comes. Right now it is Hank Majeski. So 1 out, nobody on. Here's the pitch. And Majeski hits a single into right field. So he's there in first with 1 out. And we're back to the top of the order with left fielder Al Smith. Smith is 0 for 3. And he hits a ground ball to second baseman Jake Wood. His only play is to go to first. For the 4-3 putout, Majeski moves up to second. So there's 2 outs and a man on second here in the top of the 7th. And that brings up second baseman Bobby Avila. Pitch from Reagan. And that is a single. Let's check Majeski's running. He's going to hold at third base. He's only 1 to 8 with 2 outs. That makes him a 10. So he's going to hold at third base. So runners on the corners with 2 outs. And Larry Doby. Doby's 1 for 3. Here's the pitch. And that's going to score a run for the Indians. Doby hits one right up the middle for a base hit. Avila moves to second, and in comes Majeski. And it's now 5 to 3 in favor of the Indians. Reagan gets another fatigue point. And that'll bring up Al Rosen with runners on first and second, 2 outs. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout for Reagan. That is his first. And that ends the inning. But the Indians do get a run on Doby's single. And as we stretch them, the score is now Indians 5 and the Tigers 3. Phil Regan picks up Reagan. Picks up his 3rd fatigue point. And we go to the 7th inning stretch. And time for a little 7-Up. All right, as we go to the bottom of the 7th, as mentioned, Bob Feller's day is over. New pitcher for the Indians is Mike Garcia. 1954, he was 19-8 with a 2.64 ERA and 259 innings pitched. He certainly started some games. He's listed as a starter reliever. He's working out of the bullpen on this roster. And the first batter he's going to face is Steve Boros here in the bottom of the 7th. Pitch from Garcia. It's a fly ball to left field. It's going to be an X check for Al Smith. He's a 2. We roll a 17. And a shoestring catch by Smith out there robs Boros of extra bases, and there's 1 away. So 1 out, nobody on, and Dick Brown. Some activity in the Tigers bullpen. And it looks like Paul Foytak is warming up. All right, but right now we got Dick Brown coming up to bat. Here's the pitch. And that's a strikeout. First strikeout for Garcia. And there are 2 away here in the bottom of the 7th. That's going to bring up Chico Fernandez. So 2 outs and nobody on. Here's the pitch. And Fernandez hits one into left field that gets away from Al Smith. He rounds second base and slides into third with a 2-out triple. And that's going to bring up the pitcher's spot, and that's all for Phil Regan, because he's going to be lifted for Bubba Morton here, and Foytak will be the pitcher in the top of the 8th. Right now it's Bubba Morton. Got to write him in. So man on third with 2 outs. And here's the pitch from Garcia. It's a ground ball to second base, but it's an X check for Bobby Avila. He's a 3. We roll a 13. And another nice play by Avila. Prevents the run. They get Morton by a half step on the 4-3 putout. And that's it for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 7th. No runs on 1 hit, a triple. Chico Fernandez stranded at third. 7 complete. It's the Indians 5, Tigers 3. Mike Garcia gets his first fatigue point. And as mentioned, Phil Reagan's day is done. Paul Foytak is the next pitcher for Detroit. And in 1961, he was 11-10 with 3.92 ERA, 170 innings pitched. And the first batter he's going to face is Vic Wertz here in the top of the 8th. Indians lead 5-3. Pitch from Foytak. It's a leadoff single for Wertz. Man on first, nobody out. Brings up Dave Philly. Pitch from Foytak. And Philly gets a hold of this one to deep center field. Back goes Billy Bruton. It's way up, out of here, over his head, and gone. A 2-run shot for Dave Philly. And they're finally willing to accept it's a possibility that the Indians are going to reach the Goodell Cup Finals here, because if they hold on, it'll be their 10th win. It's now 7-3, 2 fatigue points for Foytak. My. So, nobody out, nobody on. George Strickland. That's inside. And Strickland trots down to first base. So man on first, still no one out. And Jim Hegan. It's a ground ball to second base. It's an X check. For Jake Wood, he's a 4. We roll a 17. And a nice play by Wood. His only play, he makes a nice stop, but his only play is at first base, so that allows Strickland to move up to second. But they get Hegan on the putout, 4-3, for the first out of the inning. And Mike Garcia is going to bat. Now, he's a number 1 hitting pitcher, so we'll just flip this over. And here's the pitch from Foytak. And it's a strikeout. Two outs. First strikeout for Foytak. We go back to the top of the order. And Al Smith with a runner on second. Here's the pitch. And it's a line drive, but right at shortstop Chico Fernandez. And he holds on to that for the third out. But we get 2 runs on 2 hits. 1 man left on. And after 7.5, It's now 7-3 in favor of the Indians. Foytak picks up his third fatigue point. Mike Garcia back out here with a 4-run lead. And it's the top of the order for the Tigers and Jake Wood, who hits a fly ball to left field. Al Smith is under that, makes the catch, and there's one away. 1 out, nobody on. Bill Bruton, pitch. Low and outside, so that's going to be a 1-out walk. Bruton trots down to first base. So man on first with 1 out, and Al Kaline. Kaline's 0 for 3. Here's the pitch. It's a fly ball to right field. And Dave Philly's under that, makes the catch, and there's 2 away. Bruton holds at first. So 2 outs, man on first, and Rocky Colavito. Pitch from Garcia. Fly ball to left field. Al Smith tracks that down at the warning track. And that's it for the Tigers here in the bottom of the 8th. No runs, 1 hit. No, excuse me, no runs, no hits, but 1 man left on. And after 8 complete, it's Cleveland 7 and Detroit 3. Mike Garcia picks up his second fatigue point. Foytak's still out here. And it's going to be Avila, Doby, and Rosen for the Indians here in the top of the 9th. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to second base. Jake Wood to Norm Cash. And there's 1 away. Brings up Larry Doby. Pitch from Foytak. It's a ground ball to second. Avila, or excuse me, Wood to Cash for another 4-3 putout. So 2 outs, nobody on. And Al Rosen. It's the pitch. And Rosen gets a hold of this one. Deep left field. Al Smith back to the track, to the wall. It's way up, out of here, gone. A 2-out solo shot from Al Rosen gets the Tigers some insurance for the Indians. And it's now 8-4, and another fatigue point for Foytak. And there's some activity in the Tigers bullpen, but they can see this one is slipping away. Second home run given up by Foytak. And 2 outs, nobody on. Here's the pitch to Vic Wertz. And Wertz gets a hold of this to deep center field. And back goes Billy Bruton, but he just watches that one go over his head. Third home run given up by Paul Foytak. 2 solo shots here in the top of the 9th. I'm tongue twisted. And it's now 9-3 in favor of the Indians, and they can sense it now. They can sense it now. So the new pitcher is Jerry Staley. I didn't mention he was warming up. I did say someone was, but that's who it was. So you have to pardon me on that one. And he's the 4th pitcher for the Tigers in this one. As this one is slipping away. And Dave Philly will be up next. 2 outs, nobody on. Here's the pitch. And it's a ground ball to second base. Jake Wood to Norm Cash. And that's it for the Indians. But not before 2 solo shots from Al Rosen and Vic Wertz. Pick up 2 more runs. And it is now 9-3 in favor of the Indians. Jerry Staley gets his first fatigue point, which I gave him already. Garcia's got to stay out here to close this one out. And it's going to be Norm Cash, Steve Boros, and Dick Brown here in the bottom of the ninth. Indians with a 9-3 lead. Here's the pitch. Way inside, almost hits Cash. So it's a leadoff walk. He trots down to first base. That brings up Steve Boros. Nobody out, man on first. Here's the pitch. It's a ground ball to third base, and it's going to be Rosen to Avila to Wirtz for the 5-4-3 double play. And just like that, the Indians, or excuse me, the Tigers, are down to their last out. It's Dick Brown. Pitch from Garcia. It's a fly ball to left field. That sends Al Smith back near the track where he makes the catch. And they are celebrating on the road. That is, the Cleveland Indians are. The 1954 Cleveland Indians, because they have achieved their 10th win and will advance to the Goodell Cup Finals to face the next team to reach their 10th win. So let's take a look at the Hill again. So the Indians advance to the finals. The Tigers, due to the loss, drop to the bottom. So by default, the 60 Pirates become the new Kings of the Hill and will face the 1957 Milwaukee Braves in game number 63 of the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Oldtimer Kings King of the Hill tournament when we come back to this game down the road. If you hung out with me tonight, I appreciate it. And I'll be back again in the near future with another video. And until then, take care.